The countdown for launch of Space Shuttle Endeavour tonight on mission STS-89 is continuing on schedule. Launch is scheduled to occur at about 9:48 p.m. Eastern Time, and we are currently at a scheduled hold at T-minus 3 hours. Work at Launch Pad 39A, as well as operations here in the firing room, are continuing as planned. This is Endeavour's first mission to dock with Russia's space station Mir. The previous 7 docking missions were all successfully done with the orbiter Atlantis. And with an on-time launch, docking of Endeavour with Mir is set to occur at about 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, January 24th. And we're with live pictures now from the crew quarters and the operations checkout building as our 7 astronauts are seated for their traditional meal prior to launch. Our Sharapov is mission specialist, as well as we just saw mission specialist James Riley. Here is Bonnie Dunbar, who is preparing for her 5th flight into space today. She is the most experienced astronaut of all the crew members today, which are commanded by Terry Wilcott, who will be leading this crew of 7. Andy Thomas will be remaining on Mir for 4 months. Michael Anderson and pilot Joe Edwards are preparing for their first flights into space today. Everybody looks like they're wide awake. They have been, in fact, awake since about 9 o'clock this morning. They've had 2 meals since that time, and this is simply a snack that they will have before they make final preparations to board the orbiter Endeavour and then launch tonight at our preferred launch time of 9:48 p.m. At the shuttle pad, the final inspection team is continuing their operations to make final inspections of the orbiter, as well as to look for any potential debris items that may be on the pad surface or on any of the number of walkways that run up and down the full length of the vehicle. They'll also be looking for any buildups of ice or frost on the external tank following the loading of the cryogenic reactants. And we have now moved to live TV of our astronauts that are being suited up. They've just completed their weather briefing and are making an effort to get a little bit ahead of schedule, so they have moved on into the suit-up room. Commander Terry Wilcott, of course, being the commander of this mission, did again receive his weather briefing just moments ago and was told that we will proceed with our activities tonight, that there are no technical issues that we're dealing with. Bonnie Dunbar, who is preparing to make her 5th flight into space tonight, is also making final preparations to ensure that her suit is tight and snug. Joe Edwards, of course, seen. He is the pilot of this crew, and he is preparing for his first flight into space. And we have seated here Michael Anderson, again, also making his first flight into space. Jim Riley, also making his first flight into space. He is designated mission specialist number 1. And he is saying hello to his friends and family who may be watching or who have actually come to the Space Center to watch his launch tonight. Salazan Sharapov is a graduate from the Moscow State University. He was also a pilot instructor in the Russian Air Force, and he was been training at the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center to be an astronaut or a cosmonaut candidate since 1990. Andy Thomas will be making his 2nd trip aboard the shuttle, but this will be his first time to visit the space station Mir, which will be his home for the next 4 months. He will replace astronaut Dave Wolf, who has been on Mir since September. Thomas is scheduled to be the 7th and final astronaut to live aboard Mir. And at this time, we do have live shots from the 3rd floor of the operations and checkout building as the crew exit their crew quarters and make their way down the hallway toward the elevator, which will take them out to the astronaut van, which will then take them out to the pad. And they're being greeted by well-wishers and supporters, employees at the Kennedy Space Center, who like to get a last glimpse of the crew before they head off into space, spending the next 9 days in orbit. 5 of those days docked with the Mir space station. And the astronauts coming out of the quarters right now, as they are being led by their commander, Terry Wilcott, followed by pilot Joe Edwards, mission specialist Bonnie Dunbar, Michael Anderson, Salazan Sharpov, James Riley, and Andy Thomas.
Good luck, Andy.
And this is a view from the White Room as our commander, Terry Wilcott, is making final preparations to enter the orbiter. He will be the first to enter the vehicle so that he can begin the enormous task of making sure that everything is set up and ready to go for a launch tonight. Mission Specialist Andy Thomas making his second trip aboard the shuttle. Again, he will remain on Mir for the next 4 months, replacing astronaut Dave Wolf, who has been on board Mir since September. Thomas will become the 7th and final astronaut to live aboard Mir. And pilot Joe Edwards has just now crawled into the orbiter, and he will be followed by mission specialist Bonnie Dunbar, the most experienced astronaut in this flight, having gone into space 4 times already.
I'll give you step 544.
Okay, I'll put 545 in work.
RSRT, OTC.
RSRT.
Step 554, new tape.
Copy, that's complete. Tech 1390.
1390.
And that was step 554?
554.
Okay.
OTC, PLT, time check.
PLT, this OTC, I got you loud and clear. How many?
Loud and clear, Roberta, good evening.
Good evening, Joe.
CHD, CGSS, ABSX, sent to the air to ground 1. Verify active on air to ground 1 and monitor 232 for remainder count and verify loud and clear. CHD? HDD, verify loud and clear. All right, CGSS. CGSS, verify loud and clear. And JBSX. JBSX, see loud and clear. Loud and clear also.
Dave King is being introduced today as the new launch director at Kennedy Space Center. He is only the 3rd launch director the Cape has had since we had returned to flight of the Space Shuttle. King began his career with NASA in 1983 as a main propulsion engineer. He later served as flow director for the Orbiter Discovery and as the acting deputy director of the Installation Operations Directorate.
And CDR launch director.
Go ahead, sir, CDR.
Okay, Terry, looks like weather's good. Looks like we got a good vehicle, and we're going to try to get you out of town tonight, and be looking forward to seeing you back here in 9 or 10 days.
Well, thanks a million, and we'd also like to extend our thanks to your workforce here at KSC and to all the honorees that are down here for the Spaceflight Awareness Launch.
And we have orbiter access arm now being retracted away from the vehicle. This arm can be returned to position within seconds if need be.
OTC, PLT, APU pre-start is complete with 3 grade documents.
Sit down.
OTC, PLT, APU starts complete with 3 good APUs.
Thank you.
And final air surface checks of the orbiter's elevons as well as the rudder are being completed at this time. This verifies the orbiter's hydraulic systems. And the 3 main engines are being gimbaled for a final test before launch. And we're standing by for the retraction of the gaseous oxygen vent hood away from the external tank, and it is being retracted at this time. Inside the bronze-colored tank is about 500,000 gallons of super cold liquid fuels that run on the orbiter's 3 main engines.
We're clear with no unexpected errors.
Copy that. Flight crew, OTC, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow. We begin 98, sending our last astronaut for his stay on Mir. We're going to howl for the Wolfman.
That did work. We'll see you in a few days. 15.
T-minus 13 seconds.
10.
9, 8,
Main engine.
7, 6. We have a go for main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1. We have booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Endeavour, continuing the union of U.S. and Russian space endeavors.
Houston Endeavour, a roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
Houston is now controlling. The roll maneuver is complete. Endeavour is now in a heads-down, wings-level position, headed to a rendezvous with the Mir space station. Seconds into flight. Endeavour now traveling at about 520 miles per hour. Endeavour's engines are now throttling down to 67% of rated thrust. Endeavour is now passing through the area of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle in the lower atmosphere. Downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 2.3 miles, traveling at a speed of just about 870 miles per hour.
Endeavour Houston, go at throttle up.
Roger, go with throttle up.
1 minute, 19 seconds into the flight. Endeavour's 3 liquid-fueled engines are now back at full throttle, 104% of rated thrust. Endeavour downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, a distance of about 10.5 miles, traveling at the speed of about 2,000 miles per hour. Just about 7 minutes of powered flight remaining. Two minutes, 9 seconds into the flight, the booster officer confirms good separation of the solid rocket boosters. Endeavour now downrange from the Kennedy Space Center at a distance of about 38 miles.
Houston, performance nominal.
Copy, performance nominal.
Endeavour Houston, 2 engine TOW.
Copy, Susan, 2 engine TOW.
2 minutes, 35 seconds into the flight. Endeavour's performance has been as expected, and in the event of a single engine failure, Endeavour could now reach the transatlantic landing site at Zaragoza, Spain. Telemetry still continuing to indicate that all 3 main engines and auxiliary power units and fuel cells are performing well.